Thus I have heard. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Vulture Peak Mountain with a great gathering of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the samadhi of the many aspects of phenomena called profound appearance. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, "How should a son of a lineage train who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom?" Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Sharadvati Putra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of the lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, and having no characteristics, they are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomena. There is no quality of sight and so on, until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance and so on, no old age and death and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. No wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely and abide by means of the profound perfection of wisdom. And since their minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, they attain nirvana. All the Buddhas of well in the times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom and have become true and complete Buddhas of unsurpassable, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra, the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Teata om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said to the bodhisattva mahasattva noble Avalokiteshvara that he had spoken well. Well done, O son of the lineage, it is so. O son of the lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One.
当初人不见，我本人不见，边境不也红白给么？真我么路么高么？别多么多不么那怎么？这叫么也么多么？人不见多说了，能不就也就。月色拉到半夜，边角边上中，马上我面包早些一顿，听到之间早我当街八九，八点了嘛当不能，七八的要八点了嘛当别行啊，天八金别送学生，学业运都行啊别忘记。途经昼夜争夺结束，一年将到手中我莫觉能，他当娘别四年当见，徒在我前边过，坚决劳多呀，多呀，多呀，多呀，多呀，多呀，没有呀，多。大概就别的的就高职前边过年结束的，过送多着我着这多事，过送多着我着这多事，别说给了些月准备过，他也着也让我过也送，马连些家就在这边多。小姐做我的了，做我的；小姐做我的了，做我的。多姐钱波的些，多姐钱，就在的罗巴达那罗巴，也就准备巴达的下，娘嘞些老就那做我的。娘嘞，西罗居罗娑瓦的，上波多面一年当着的，秋天的月的当着面的，在那个山了年是年光，家眷是别居罗娑瓦的，家眷是别居罗娑瓦的。遥遥月面兄弟乐着呢，大王找把这边过着去，上街公交跑跑要在走，上班到夜间了说完的，上班到夜间了说完的。 协助道别中阿的上，高等的别面波中顿的，念就能就过去送了送，高等了嘛能了说完的，高等了嘛能了说完的。刚健心的自己从个我到这边我说的早的，到这边到不给着的，要是就把这了说完的，要是就把这了说完的，就算过的那么多节长。刚老刚的些年之中，就当天幕幕中做这边，只见了么那了说完的，只见了么那了说完的，上将苏罗跟了大爷，给上他把这边就我就。在人这边讨看怎么样？现在些年能了说完的，现在些年能了说完的，叫我更多样的那么多。这边就这边了，我学见，找到了这样的少多。多杰将给国朋友多说，多杰将给国人多有三杰去，多杰将那将就不多多年就做，老爷这边做那杰，落边些上。若不就三界就，多界就那那就不多当年就做，老爷这边做那的，若那边是三，若不就三界就，多界就那那就不多当年就做。老爷这边做那的。罗拉边些上界诸般有，哎，弄给你吗？
那做什么去？
那个，
那我那
哎，
才去弄。
到啥去？哎呀，那个说，这通常你了小娃你，那刚刚比下季，现在那他妈跟了这个，那他把东西了去7年前吧，这6月去，他们在那光节嘛，是那，那他把恐怕弄去下季。对，金中国对，然后可是那时候的恰恰节在收到，
So let's begin with following the tradition of great Kadamba masters, such as the activities in the beginning of the teachings and receiving actual teachings, and followed by the dedication at the ends. So this is the custom or the tradition of the sublime masters of the past. So if we are to follow this tradition and following their footsteps, will really become a condition for accumulating merits and virtue.
很热情，那通过那个给侬确实那恰一点吧，那恰一点是呢，他俺做啥都有，他让人家说我得了恰一点也是给嘛，可他们呢，就当年俺说别那Lam Rim Chenmo了7年7个月老说玩意呢，他们过做啥的，那让给 아니 맞죠 변한대로 this 정으로 저기 뒤진데 손에 대래 아니 잔티네 변한 가서 연주기 상 잔티라 연주기 상배기 천하지 대비 되네 아니 젠딜라 아니 파포에달라 상추기세 아니 가서 선전나지 강치산에 선주제는 상주 제반제세데 네 대기 산나데 젤라마제도 동보 라니 이강치산에 네 연주기 상바제 그래 소아나 이 동보 연주기 상바기 지된 키바다오지 다테마도다 좀도 다테리치 제나마다 사마레 상에기 삼발로 소아지 해도 돈에 네 다파 칼로데 시주지 제용이가라 네 나다 가도와 집에 장래샤 아니 나로 찍고 집에 지장이 막 가시절라 나로 찍고 때도 대화 두에지다 네 배대지 지대 개차나 소나 배드 코로나에 지레샤스 그때도 지금도 다 가르치기 임베서는 아니 신주지 제용이가라 아무네 전에 전달을 타치듯이 근데 펜바 맛이 두에지만도 요해지는 민두성이 삼바지 레바 지여나 아니 디니 제네 아니 상추랑지는 바데 자조번은 마샤네 아니 칼라사이 아니 차젠데 디샤여를 생각이 차젠 선사이 맞들 던지고도 그노이다.
So here now, as a followers of the teachings of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment, so to have the right motivations, or appropriate motivations, is important to become oneself as a authentic followers of the teachings of great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment. So prior to one's actual practice of the Lam Rim, or the following the teachings of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment, one must first generate a sense of urgency, which is by understanding how much suffering that we are undergoing. We are remaining under the three types of suffering without a break. How wonderful it would be if I can free myself from this tremendous amount of suffering, such as the suffering of the three types of suffering. With this being generated regarding one's own self and understanding how oneself is undergoing sufferings, undergoing three types of suffering without a break, which is to say the practice of renunciation. This is then the turn towards other sentient beings. Just as I myself, who is undergoing a tremendous amount of suffering, of three types of sufferings. So too, all other sentient beings are undergoing similar type of sufferings, inconceivable inconceivable suffering. May I be able to free not only my own sufferings, but suffering of all other sentient beings. And this is kind of resolute intention must be generated within oneself prior to one's actually proceeding oneself to practice of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment. When one realizes that one have generated such motivations within oneself, within stream of beings, within one's own stream of beings, one then plays one's Lam Rim texts for the great deities on the stage of the path to enlightenment on the table, and then ready to proceed the actual practice of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment.
Nyane Jirimba. Tenjipi Nanjo Nyane Jirimba singing the Kali John and Jibu Town Yebaji, Shepiton and Lingo Begrimato, the Hatsuji Namon and Jivas on the Chegumara. Means that it Jigi repeating Nanjo. Yanshin Chachiwaji Yabitono, Timachi Chit and Yaneti Jay Bukola, and then when Shanchu Sagi, the Ranjit and the Radushi say the Taran Legasaro, Rani Chiba, Yanshin Chachiwa, Reba, and the Jella Shambana Zewi Jay Bukola, I'll be at you as a
So it is we as a followers of the Mahayana Dharma, our in practice and our way of following the Mahayana Dharma is based on the great reasonings, or the vast reasonings, in other words, along with the vast reasonings accompanied by intellectual analysis. So it is not something that you simply believe and follow the teachings, but it is also critical to have an analytical process and vast reasoning followed by the vast reasonings. If one is able to maintain such, attributes, then one will be able to fulfill the wishes of oneself and that of all other sentient beings.
I was a similar son. Any rank and danger not had the line, number 2 be on Bola, any large Lamana, you couldn't get Jimmy Baji, and you was the Sunday Devanaji, Namate sent. Taco any rounder, Tadanga Sugi, the teaching a lot of the Talaton, so the Susan on the Chico in the Sonaji Maiba. And so Bena Shulu such a chilla, not much use and Butomaka take corner ye. The Paya Sachilla Sinjaka get done a day about the Kono Denji inside the Danger Rangi Nandole about the Denji Potua inside. There's a Rangi change Pama to be so just Sinji. You also do what any during us on the Nadella, and it does not say you pay down and too much dog or any Ronichi. The drink is somebody you wrote in a William Sarah. And Regina come and cheat.
Let's begin with by meditating a minute, by visualizing Buddha Shakyamuni in the space on the crown of oneself, who is then surrounded by all other great masters of the Lam Rim Chenmo, the great masters that supplicate in accordance with the supplication verse that we have recited earlier. So then imagining being yourself in their presence, and you yourself is surrounded by all those suffering sentient beings. And imagine that we are not only oneself, but also all beings along with oneself are engaging in discussions of the practice of bodhicitta and wisdom, realizing emptiness. With this in mind, take a minute to meditate.
Ai, really do this. Ne ta tendo kilo chiba change ngane ne kansa ba sai chu. Ne shang chu lang chu rin bas.
With these motivations, the teachings we are receiving is the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment.
Ta sa je tombo chukun tsemba tembe shen ze ba bi chawa.
Which this will then be followed by the outlines, the major outlines of the Lam Rim Chenmo. The first outline, the greatness of the authors given in order to show the teachings as noble source.
Ane de sosu chenchen za yin lama ne temba tubi handi ba de ni shodi ji che.
This reminds us to reflect one's mind upon the great teachers, beginning from the Buddha Shakyamuni all the way to one's own great root masters or teacher.
Ta danga la kiba che be shi che chawa sala yu de. Ane temba tubi ambo ne rangi chenchen za yin lama ba senje ye duen ze be ye duen ze ye jeja de. Ane shangchu sen ni la so ba ye jeja de la sang la ji dong ne. Ane song de za chen bo yin ba ji la go che che.
So this then be followed by the second outlines, which is the showing the greatness of the teachings in order to engender respect for the teachings. With this, one should reflect one's mind upon the Buddha's, Buddha Shakyamuni, all the way to one's own root gurus who have taught the teachings of the two bodhicitta, the conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta.
Ni shi che ta sha wa sen yu de. Temba yi go temba ne za yin lama ba je se chen la sung bi yi ta da ka ri che de yin re. Ane gang tu me no shang ye mi bi de la mi ne song shang de ane nye de la ane tu san kan che go re. Ane nga so ye chen ye kan che go re. Se de zhuo de yi lang sa de da bu tu la.
So then the third outline says how to listen to the teachings in which the both teachings and its author are great. When we come to this third outlines, then one should reflect upon the actual contents of the teachings given by those great beings, and how do we follow, in what manner that I can be on the path of actually receiving these teachings.
Ta damba ngol la che ta ju go se de damba lang che sa ge ge shen ye che da de ba je ten go re. De ten ne de ye che ta song ba ta do ani thoma ne thama ba do go re se de ro.
And the fourth outline where we reach the sequence in which the disciples are to be taught by actual instructions. When we read this fourth outlines, then we should reflect one's mind upon the teachings given by the great beings, the great teachers, beginning from the practice of reliance upon the teacher, the proper reliance upon the teachers, which is the root of one's spiritual path. And how do we really follow in accordance? How do we really follow our conducts in accordance with it, the teacher's wish, or whatever the teachings that have been taught by one's teacher?
Teaching nga ge che zu de jing lang ri de lo de chen ye shu je ma to na ta de nga zong lang ri yin zhe de yo yin na ani shu ge yin ji bi ji sa je je yu guan na ani ma zong yin na de ro ta be na yi sha che san na re ni sa je ye to no la de mi ba chi che ne san ba la chua ji le ji ne sa je de la jin ro na ro be na ngi sha na ma chang yi na ba de yong na du su yong gu re se no so de ji la de zhe ji ye sa je yi to na hua ra ba ji yong de mi ba ji ye ba de ma zong zhe na ma zu bi me na ka ma nga zu de ju chu go ma ro de zhe ji sha de ye ba de je tu je wa yi na ani ko ye ma ta ba de ji je tu na za zha ro de be ge chen mo re da.
It is best that if we can, as a practitioner of the great teachers on the stages of the path to enlightenment, it is best that if we can follow the meditation by reflecting one's mind upon these four major outlines of the great teachings and stages of the path to enlightenment. If that is not possible, then every week that we are gathering and receiving the teachings, and prior to teachings, we are given a chance or the opportunity to reflect one's mind upon those four outlines and try to meditate as clear as possible by following those four outlines.
당은 사지만 로고 따데는 로치다장 이름이 디데는 이번에 비시고 단여버 제단에 비치니 이번 동물이 단여버 제단에 비치라니 나지 나자는 게 받쳤는 이번에 좀 동물들사 이번에 정말로서 지구 중요하다 도모야 나지를 만양선에 지번 제다 도모 지구 챔피언 나지를 만양선에 지 동물이지 다 지구 챔피언 나지를 만양선에 지라서 대전한 주고 생체 코나데 봐 생대 주다 집에 Senjina Shoba Lozi, Omani Dizata, Senjina Shoba Lozi la Song, Senjina Lobala Logo Vigensen, Tashi Rewa Lobe, Sanjaman Juba Temba, Loba Lobe Rimbani Shiba, Omani Di, the Loba Lobe Rimbani Shiba Ni, Tibachimba Chula Lazada, Chibato Dojetiba Lazi, Tatombola Song, Shansen Jalaba Londe Jane Jesse Dambason, Zone Chitani Switch, Tatomani Dizata, Zone Chitani Bitilla, Song, Kala Lobije, Del Habana Dice, Della Chitala Berimbach, Tatom Tombani Dizata, Chitala Berimbala Ni. Shubachula Lotte, the Chiba, the Pasha Tamanian, Tatomandriza, the Pasha Tamanian, Hotela, Juge, Chanel, the Laton Piashi, but anything in the country, the Dema, Chanel Laton, Rub the Yawa in a wine, and Teta Gongo Vigensen, Korean was social switch, Tatombo Tama social lotidelaci, Telesina, Laton Lodge, the Laton Lodilla Sonre, Laton Jerry, Laton Chotemba, Laton Geraldo, Laton Gombi, Gombe, Laton Rubitseri, Latombola Son, Tandang and then Sura Maison, and it tell Ludu Gumbach and JB Switch that you want, the Conan in Telapo, Tatombola Sonre. Tecom needed the Conanian Jubilee, but the Conani Tela Mori, Tombola, Gajang Zoma, the Tarankan Luciaba, the Cona Tuni Tela Pass, the Tombola Gajang Munzing, Jansen, Gajang Manzebi, Luca, Lucia was. Tamas of course about Dere, and in origin with the Tamatama Ledo, Tamato Tamasagro, Pasha Tamanila Lozig, Nation, Hadon Lozi, Hadon the Sochi, and it don't need to be Hadon Shibi, go in Tane, and it don't need to Tobala Tombo, Gajang Monzebore, and the Gaja de Monzembala, and the Yanji Gaja Kandichi Javare, Umatanji Ranulu, Gaja said the Kandichi, and the Katula Moskeshi.
So we are on the last chapters of this great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. In other words, we are on the teachings. We are on the process of discussing on the teachings of special insight or Haktong or the Vipassana. So in this special insight, in this part, the special insight must be understood in this context. It's the special insight of wisdom realizing emptiness. So in order to gain the wisdom that understands that as it ends emptiness, one must first go through the identification, or one must first identify object of negation. So to find the actual object of negation, first of all, one must understand the object of negation that has been established or the propound by the other system. And then by negating that object of negation by one's own system, and how do we ourselves, our own system, how do we identify the object of negation from our own system in accordance with the Madhyamaka Prasangika?
되지. 당가서 시에 내가 치쇼 가르쳐서나 탐 디게 ranlude 오마 타지 시샤체. 아니 오마 타지와 생에되게 아니 유진의 두바 생인데 짜이 좀 전지 캠링에 지체. 된지요나 내가 줘봐요 버세지. 다 대면적이 좋다 용수 줘봐기 장문에 줘봐요 세디. 강에 됐세더라. 아니 따와세디 시에디 모처디 일을 제바치는 줘. 되게 제바모모 요야 제세들.
So here it requires a lot of analysis, or the lot of investigation. In other words, because now when it comes to the Madhyamaka Prasangika standpoint with regard to ultimate nature of reality, the Madhyamaka Prasangika rejects across the board entire spectrum of phenomena, existence from its own side. It's completely rejected. Whereas the other system, Madhyamaka Prasangika or Madhyamaka Swatantrika and below, they propound at least some level of existence from its own side.
되지. 당가서 거기서 배치된 인사에. 맞아. 같이 졸라서 봐 타니도 명고비 되나 아래 나질러서 이제 되면서 되봐. 다들 내시들에 다 엄마 타지와게 정신주 줘봐대 까요디 까라 좋다 엄마도 저기 대 지금 말에 대까나 근데 타니도 야 까도도 대전에 처럼 양살라 로도 세대 체타 로도 세대 줘봐대.
So we are on the discussions of the argument between other system and Madhyamaka Prasangika. What other system is questioning here is now, is criticizing here is criticizing Madhyamaka Prasangika by saying that when you reject, also when you deny the inherent existence of all phenomena, by denying that, you're actually falling into the nihilism, extreme view of nihilism. That is the question, or that is the criticism raised by other system to the Madhyamaka Prasangika.
같이 안에 조소 타니도 명고비 된 나절라 소빈 제때 장가이 모르 명고바 인체 데닐라셰비 제베 고바마와네 체 명고와네 신도 메테데 또된라 데니셰비 제베 고 명고 도바 예제 조텔로 마지비 모르 명고발라 도바 메비 셰르 셰당 데니셰비 제베 고나 가빠 때 타녀의 샤급이 쇼로 데니셰비 리페 제와 탕제 명고반에 로벤 다와 자베 세와 손비 셰데 지자빈제 손데 지자빈제 발레 손도.
So here we read the text, which is on page 158, sorry, 159, third paragraph. Objections, it says, when we say that we do not refute forms and so forth in conventional term, we mean that they are not refuted in the eyes of ordinary worldly people, such as shepherds. However, rational analysis of the reality does not refute them. Reply: your position is quite unacceptable. Reflective individuals may wonder where the rational analysis of the of reality refute this. Yet they never doubt that such things remain unrefuted for those whose mind have not been affected by the tenets. Moreover, if rational analysis of the reality did not refute them, then that the refutation would have to be done in the conventional terms. The Master Chandrakirti also clearly stated that in the rational analysis of the reality does not refute them all from the production. So here it's clearly mentioned that reflective individuals may wonder whether rational analysis of reality refute this, yet they never doubt that such things remain in unrefuted for those whose mind has not been affected by the tenets. So this is only it says that this is only for the someone whose mind is actually affected by the tenets. If someone whose mind is not affected by the tenets, which means someone who has not actually have a knowledge about the tenets, then for them and such analysis may not beneficial.
Jamatabani de Minji, Mashampula, Mashanti Pola Soba, Dagi, Nyawa, Japan, Joa, Shena, Denjin Jawan Joma, Meba, Tawan Jui, Sher, Jipe, Jomani Jui, Jipe, Tedatan, Tumba, Mejeche, Tetan, Mingewa, Jomala Soba, Tatane, Sheto, She, Sewa, Son So, Shia Sewa, Son So, Sondo.
So his commentary on the 400 stanza says, incorrect positions such as Aradeva means that compounded phenomena lack production because this analysis refers all forms of production. Reply: in that case, the production of compounded phenomena would not be like a magician's illusions. Rather, we would make it understood using examples such as the son of the barren woman, or the worry of the absurd implication that dependent arising would not exist. We avoid such comparisons. Instead, we compare the production of things to magical illusions and so forth. Example that do not contradict dependent arising. The phrase analysis refers to the rational analysis for reality, refers all forms of projections, means refuting all projections and kind without adding any qualification to the object to be negated. So the magician's illusion is actually conventionally existed, whereas the son of the barren woman has not existed in convention reality. Sorry.
Number shepan, deshepan, nes, and Japan Jabati Tanda, Jaban Devandene, the Conanula should be Ripa was the Conanula number should be repassing it, Najinga, the Matuba, the Yuri, the Yoma is singing Ripato Congress on the.
So again, let's read this, paragraph again. The phrase "this analysis" refers to the rational analysis of reality.
Jewa number Tanche the Ka Shebane, Gazala Chepa Majawa, Jewa Yinse Tanche Ka Chepa was. Also, the Tanji Java and Java, number Tanche Ka, Tanya the Gaza Majority. Pena Chiwala Soba me, Tony, Debatova, you may change it, Debatum to catch a machine, and it's down the Chiwala Soba, Tanchi Cardua, the motion, but I will chat over us.
So here now it's clearly mentions that refutes all forms of production means refuting all production of any kind without adding a qualification to the object to be negated. So the other system is if you negate the existence of the productions, then it actually negates the existence of all phenomena, such as production and so forth. But without going through the analysis of the inherent existence, whether it exists inherently or non-inherent existence.
This saving to Moshanji Pusoji Tenes and Jawa Tanji Kana Moshanji put the Rubura Sopa Zendo Tenshi Nipa Tanji Jeton you won't meet Julas. Detana Tenji maybe joined the Jewish Jibe Tenshi Nibe Tenshi Nibi Mari Tenshi Nipa Tanji Tanji Moshanji Pala Sobi Jawa Mebandawa ye. Jumala Sopa and Jayana and the Dembang Ranji Jewa Go Jepa o Yang Japin Jebale.
So this passage refuting the barren woman should be understood as follows. If reason refuted all production, then the production like the son of a barren woman, the horns of the hair and such would be a non-thing and empty of all functions. In that case, there would be the fallacy that dependent arising would not exist. We're wary of that. It's hence we do not say that it is like a non-production of something devoid of the capacity to perform functions, such as the son of the barren woman. We say that the production is like a magician's illusion and so forth. Therefore, we refute truly existence or the intrinsically existent productions. And also Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 stanza says.
Tandaki Sonanga Sotero, Zud Demba Trumu, Tandaki Nasoki Keshiwaina, Matsoki Zud Demba Majuj and the Demba Truba Jamatabana. Ane Tentriki Jamatabana, the Yitin on the Lemon Demba Truba said, do Mudutavicana, Demba Truba Mudusibicala, Zud Demba Mebataton. Yanjo Ya Jetola long because Yanjo Tanjitunya to be Kansatini, Nizuti Dento Jamatabu. Jimado Zo Mashangi Panagi Tonsana, Tanya to Ameba Chato.
So now here, what we need to understand, the critical to understand here in this particular paragraph is that when we are analyzing whether or not the things such as things that exist inherently or not, such as form and so forth. When we go through the critical analysis of the form, whether it exists inherently or not, then you come to realize that such things such as form is not actually exist inherently, but inherently. When you gain such understanding of insight into the non-inherent existence of form, that you then remain in the meditative equipoise. So, and then when you come out of that meditative equipoise, then your understanding of form is not something that doesn't exist, but your understanding of the form is not have a true existence or the inherent existence. It is like an illusion, the magician's illusion, not something that is barren woman, the son of barren woman. The son of barren woman does not exist in conventional reality or conventionally, whereas the form, although the form is non-inherent existence, but that exists, the form actually exists, conventionally.
Jabin Japan Lech, get the Mila Soba now, Messina, the Shirjeta Mila Soba, Ombona, Ombon Dena, legend number maybe one number Jajana, Jir Kojagin, Dena, number member one Kaka, get the Mila Soba, number Goba, Juba, de Jetaka Jena, Kojagin, number Shuba. Ranshin Tsuwa le Sheba Niji Shero, Kojanin de Mubunang, Ranking Wood, Druban Goke, Mila Soba, Sheshin, Tenjin Jawan Joy, Legend number member Nid, Mengoko, Tisha, Deyo, Kanshi number member Nid, Neba Mila Soba Yoba Nido, She, Jipan, Detsanjin Gola, Detsanshi Mengoche, Shinto Sewa Sombe. And there go cup jibane cup ji to sona masuba tanchi than jawe jini jaja goso or tenants. It does go low, it is what this movement do.
No, sir.
Tena ranking mo sen yutin to yubi ranking mo yoba jipa gola yoba zang mingo bane jipa na ranchin tsuwa le shiba sombe jipa ne ranchin yume tsuwa yinbe teta kaba ranchin ka jebi duen yinbi shirin de ni shewa shao sondo o te linsen chiresh.
So objections, it's if eyes and such do not exist, then how can the sensory faculties or the organs such as the eye be considered things that result from karma? Reply, would we refute that it is the nature of this, to result from karma? Objection, since you are demonstrating the refutation of eyes and such, how could you not refute that? Reply, because our analysis is intent upon seeking intrinsic nature. We refute here that things exist essentially. We do not refute that eyes and such are products and are dependently arising result of karma. Therefore, they exist. Hence, when the eyes and such are explained only as a result of karma, they do not exist. Hence, Chandrakirti is very clearly states, exactly that the rational or the reason does not, reason does and does not refute. Therefore, once he makes this distinctions in one passage, they must be applied even when they are not stated in similar passage throughout the text.
단지 간 집발에 단단가 속에 대 단다 생에 되게 장신 여매 최고로 주무주 최고여마도 아니 제단에 가고 말이 텐데 가서는 레이 넘어는 발서 봐 가도 그래 텐데 태그 말이 내가 코자네 되미 이 장신레 장신 고바이 아니 제단에 중심부터서 말 로비가라 건가 실라 가자기 치바자야나 그 전도야 자시바 제고 그래 손도.
So here now, the way we are negating is we are negating the intrinsic existence. We are negating the intrinsic existence or the inherent existence or the true existence. This is our object of negations. It is being refuted or negated. We're not actually negating actual existence of things and events, such as form and so forth. We're not negating the existence of the form. So whenever we read those great deities on the text, when you when you actually read particularly the part of negation, we might find saying that the production or a non-existence of eyes and no such a non-existence. That means we must understand that they are not actually negating the actual existence of those phenomena, but actually it actually negating the intrinsic existence of such things.
맞죠? 단다 맞추기 단다 다 용마 상비컬 상보보초기 대나세네 마치로도 가마기 제체듯이 오텔라 대나세디 이니 가서 되디도 버치고요. 대나 타마들러서 대나랑게 뭐 유티네 쳬바티 있잖아. 네 랑게 뭐 주바 까바리 맞아. 여바상 까바미 제체 가르잖아. 네 라시지 주마도 땅에 메레 라라고 되지래도 타마들 되디들.
그래서 이게 lawyer test checharum jingedi lo. So then here it says, therefore, the reason refutes the essential existence, objective existence found on the side of the things itself. It does not refute. It doesn't refute existence, since he said that reason is intended on the seeking intrinsic nature. The reason seeks to discover whether something intrinsically exists. Therefore, this means the refutation by such analysis is a refutation of the intrinsic existence, hence distinguish these two. So we need to distinguish these two, the existence of refuting the existence of intrinsic existence or the refuting the actual existence. So we have to understand the difference between the two.
Right,
10 minutes break.
So you never just show the cashiers and the cousin yellow and you tama tell the tender on the boy tender killing bishops. Rajan Limba tender ina Raja Jamadu Rajan Juna tender take Mari saving the Gola and tattoos at the tender and Jeba Kandichi Chiasona and Taji Chengede and tender. Tender and Gasona and maybe need to get on.
So point being made here is now, if something that exists dependently, then that existence must be non-inherent existence. If something that is non-inherent existence, it must be, then inherent, dependent existence. So when one is, contradicting one's own position, is if one's position contradicts, in other words, if one's position contradicts the dependent arising or the dependent origination, then one contradicts the reality of the world.
Then be church Jini Kazuba, Tendinilla Santi Jews say there are Tendin Nila then the Sonshine Jinimers. But Tendin need the Rawatel gas on any Taji Yaganashi or the Moshan for the Rumura Jibachanos.
If one steps outside of dependent originations or the outsides of the boundary of dependent originations, then one contradicts the existence of the world. And just like that, one is accepting the son of the Barians and so on.
So there is a Pena Sosotabin Doasing and the Temba Itza in Sierra. Sosotabin Doasing and the Tatusa de Shiasona and Lezange Bagrisoda. Techena Gajati, Techena Druja, Kesson de Yore Sevedi, and Denbigi Gutso Jet Tunge de Dended Denge Jonte, Dended Deng, Rapashison, Genjaki, Dended, Dembi Jason of Yosu of Kellen Water. In the social tabindo, Demba ye, Toy in Soya de Yang, Nenga de Landed the Dendel to Shasana, to Soda.
So it is therefore the teachings given by the Buddha, the particular teachings, which is the Vinaya of individual liberation Vinaya, or the Pratimoksha Vinaya, given by the teachings of the Buddha, it's actually represents Buddha himself. The reason why it says that it represents Buddha himself is because it teaches what is to be abandoned and what is to be adapted on the basis of understanding, on the basis of accepting or understanding of law of cause and effect and dependent originations.
Tanda Sugi Digi Tende Tanda Demba Tumuki Tende Tela Tela Ichimichi Demba Yilong la Tango Medua, Demba Yilongchi la Tango Medua. The Landella Soba Shinta Tower to Sicola, any Tusona, any Kesha any Long la Tango is. Long to Tangit, Zin saw in the machine, Demba Chilla Tango in Sane, any Dembe Sombi, any Lander Tashi Tower, Son Secular, Tatu Della Pogo, and Tenegi, Mapodo than the Soda.
So there's a saying that when it comes to the subtlemost phenomena or the most obscure phenomena, such as law of cause and effect, then such should be relied upon the scriptural reasonings or the scriptural teachings, the teachings given by the individual or the authentic teacher who have spoken truthfully throughout their life and so on. When it comes to the teachings, such as teachings, the discussion that we are having right now, which is ultimate nature of reality, or the conventionality and ultimate phenomena, it doesn't really require, it doesn't require a scriptural reasonings, but rather this can be ascertained by going through the critical analysis of one's own self.
이치 제바생이 되스게라 타투사데 덤비게 손라 떠는 맞아 메두게 다나가서 제바집에가 돈바니데 차쇼이베 손에 지다 때리 쇼는 여래 마 텐데 차데 버서나 이때는 저거 대장에 버데 텐데제 세는 시에들에다 야 이때는 내가 그거 제용비가라 차신 차와데 렌데제도 한 렌데 다 대신에 내용거를 세기 텐데데 니 상제냐지기 이순 쳔바지기 Zine Sonia Chile, Yichenamado, and Ripeki, not a repay Portugal. They go Yichin on the Tango city, London, don't be your Kasa Chagre said, you document the issue, you document near the Awajation.
So here now, when we go through the discussions on this emptiness or the ultimate nature of reality, for us, those teachings are very profound and subtle, the subtlemost teachings for us. However, but the actual subtlemost teachings is the teachings on the law of cause and effect. And such teachings requires a scriptural, quotations, by one should rely upon the quotations of the scriptural scriptures that has been taught by the Buddha himself, and it is therefore the teachings given by the Buddha, the particular teachings given by the Buddha, such as the Vinaya of Pratimoksha that we talked about earlier, who represents the Buddha himself.
다 라바도 가서 템바데기 치슈 가려를 해서나 인지미지 소소 우주전의 이체가 말해. 그러와. 얘들이 이만 쳐서 데모크라하게 놓아더라. 세제 다이 세제 다제 제스 단단가 좀 라바 뒤서 뒤서래 인지 미지 단단 얘한테만 시에데 고레스는 가서 뒤중아 차차치 제거해서도 그 되냐 저거 말을 소소 남쪽이 나와나 아니 내 도스에는 되는 용사 말에서는 그런 남쪽이 돈을 제바체네 아니 야자 통통이나 다봐 로드 초대지 바로와 되면바잖아 지금 저지 마텔 거버먼트 가이 책임을 도스에 잡아 통제 이런 것을 야제로서 기야 말에 팬레 내쳐와요와 이니 코드 소리지리 데몰고 야제로에 기계매와.
So the unique feature of the teachings of the Buddha is to, given us a liberty to analyze his teaching. It's not that he has said, this is what I have seen, this is what I have taught, this is what I'm teaching, so you must follow that. But he has given us a liberty to analyze. Now, it is up to us to use our own intellect to analyze the teachings that are given by the Buddha. But because Buddha is purely given us this liberty by saying that just as the goldsmiths analyze the gold by burning, rubbing, refining, and so forth. Similarly, the followers of my teachings must also go through the critical analysis of the teachings that I have given.
라바당가 저기 휴진로 지를 파로나 라니를 봐 자찬로 지행에서나 나 레알노지를 이치바다 레알노 또바니 토에게 맞을 내부터 자원이래요 말이 변한 것은 지 노부건 건조 센터에 변한 저기 지 방랑도 지나야 그로 자차 뭐도 지 남바도 지는 봐 하도 소리지 이나 그로 자차 뭐 남바 하는 그게 ran다도 여나야 때 깔래지 저는 지 쓰러워도 but 세나마도 요거 말어 대나게 소사 주장된 제비 토노로라 아니 제바 지히제는 시지의 세를 용데 근데 로카테 토른도는 마도 지 단단한 나오는서 대단 맞어요 그 제발.
So we should not become really a goal oriented here just by receiving the teachings and going through the discussions of several times will then, enables us to manifest our critical intellect, or the wisdom that understands the ultimate nature of reality. Or just analogous, just take for example, that if the gem or the diamond remains in the muds or in the rocks and so forth, and it will never be damaged. The diamond will not be contaminated by any other substances. It will always remain as a diamond. But it is an individual who, whether or not that individual who will be able to discover this diamond and to be able to, remove the dust or the unwanted substances that are formed, on the surface of the diamond. So similarly, that we do have this sharp, extraordinary intellect, which is the wisdom that is within us. But in order to manifest this wisdom, we need to go through the rigorous studies and analysis in conjunction with the practice of purification and accumulation of the merit.
Dele pusuto shena pena ngacho sente ranshin yosyo reda pena sente ranshin reakabo na gireda reakabo lo chujo soina reakabo de chunibo de yawashi toegi chebalo de ngone ngacho mesiyo ro jireda tena gi senge ranshin de chumani bodele pati ranshin jebi sonde ji nebo jila ngacho tan du tanda pole nebare lo toma mebane nebare tini tankas ke marwa ta dunjugi yawachi sene 아니 생기 ranjin senere 단지 게래가 보기 ran도 때와나 다 가세 깔리 자고 그래. 가서 처반에 지져요.
Just like we're our mind, it's actually the nature of our mind is luminosity. It is the luminous. But this is at this point, it is actually, covered by those reflections. The surface of this, the nature of our mind is covered by this luminosity. However, the mind is untainted. The nature of mind is untainted by these reflections. When we really think very carefully about our mind and our reflections, for us as ordinary beings, we have understanding that our mind and reflections are somewhat become non-dual. However, it's not so. However, it's not the case. Just like think of just for instance, if you have the piece of cloth that is white, and if the cloth is actually dyed by a different color, then the actual clothes is not tinted by that. There is a way that we can actually the color and the cloth itself it's not a non-dual. It is the color of the clothes and the clothes are actually the separate entity. But it takes a tremendous amount of efforts to be able to differentiate between the two, the clothes and the colors. Similarly, for us, it takes a tremendous amount of efforts and energy to differentiate one's own nature of mind and the afflictions that actually obscure our mind, because it is difficult because our mind, the obscurity of our mind, the obscure part of our mind, which is a negative state of our mind, is actually from the beginning of this time. It is present in us from the beginning of this up until now. Suddenly, it requires a tremendous amount of efforts to get rid of this negative state of mind and enables to manifest our nature of our mind.
대체 당가 속이 단다시에 될 것을 보면 이 코로 빼져와이나 또 뭐쳐지기 새랑 신시 두 번이 보대 다중에 레카보다 레카비 추나게 지메보 차고 그래서는 소소도 지는 조메시네 단다 오마 탄조를 쥐었던데 진짜대.
So most of the philosophical tenets, they accept the mind and the afflictions are of something that is one entity. So it is based on their assumptions, or based on their opponents. They criticize Madhyamaka Prasangika.
당가다지 선물로인다. 된다이 렌제 나 민고바 마제 오마베 케켈랑 고바 손데 논데 추니네 데이시 케벤 제템비 달라 지게시베 넘버 셰바테 코나니 통하다 제스 템바 마주바 레나지 넘버 멤버 산지 메체바니도 켈랑데 주발레 쇼유 추도 제템바 탕제 켈랑바 샤오 셰소 데타나 랑게 뎀바니제 넘버 자바 셰비 된당 텔라 베비 지베 균조비 넘버 자발라 너나네 뎀바니 넘버 조비 난자라 난게 좋아 예베 뎀바니 넘버 조발라 퓨드 쇼이 케바 제타롱 나자 테니라 난게 존세 장 메나네 된당 텔라 베비 지베 균조비 넘버 자바 순진반가와 예노 세세 레장 소
So we'll read this. Read the text. Chandrakriti does not refute the such instance a result of the karma. Moreover, he says the Madhyamaka must assert this. The continuation of that passage says, therefore, the learned do not subject worldly object to the analysis just explained. The analysis congruent with the perception of reality. Instead, they accept that the worldly objects are simply the inconceivable result of karma. They accept the whole world as a thought is where an emanation projected by another emanation. So when you present the two truths, does the line of reasoning that establish the ultimate contradicts the presentation of the conventional? If it does, then your presentation of the two truths contradicts itself. In that case, how can you have perfected the skill of positing the two truths? If, on the other hand, there's no trace of internal contradictions in your presentation of the two truths, then it is a contradiction to claim that the line of the reasoning that established the ultimate refutes the presentation of the conventionalities. Chandrakirti's clear word says.
Oma Tanjo na ani tero lenje naja mingo ba ma se lenje naja de ani Oma Tanjo la ni ba de kelen go chi res pena demba ni kelen ba na res ta pena demba ni ke ta demba tong ge lo de kyunzo demba go yo so na ani denin jo si la kan de ke ba cha ge cha ma ro was ta menga ke ba me cha wa yin za de ani Oma Tanjo yu lo la 인도 demba 조시지 돈 대다 demba 니 투모 많이 버죠 대다 demba 조시지를 계속 demba 투모면 조시지 지로 지스 차통인데 아니 당가서 대도네 시선 엄마 타지 투모 많이 최제래 될래지면 조 마셔나 이때는 가와 차그 말이 가자 그런 가와래 했을
So the Madhyamaka Prasangikas, that the way they accept the non-inherent existence of all things and event, ultimately, based on based on acceptance of the law of cause and effect. Because it is the other systems, when they are, reflecting their mind upon the ultimate nature of reality, such as emptiness and so on, then they're sort of they're sort of refuting the conventional existence. When they're reflecting on the conventional existence, and it actually refutes the ultimate nature of reality. So if one's acceptance of the two truths, undermines other, then one is actually one's own system is contradicting. It is not the object that you are analyzing is contradicting. There's no contradiction from the side of the object itself, but your own system. There's a contradiction exists in your own system, because if you are able to this non-contradiction of this non-inherent existence and dependent originations, or the conventional existence, is established only by the Madhyamaka Prasanghika without any contradictions.
Kunzo dembare zu ranshije madubare zu gitingi tanda dembarawa kenyi mochi la toba thade segre chi yete de jo maron chi jin jo rong mare bena zu ranshije madubade jo matuna zu tende ban jo tu mare zu tende ban jo matu zu thanye de jo tu mare.
So let's take an example of form. The form itself is a conventionality. It's a conventional existence. The form being non-inherent existence. The non-inherent existence of the form, in other words, is the ultimate nature of the form. So by accepting this two truths within one locus, such as within the form itself, then you actually be able to establish non-inherent existence on the one hand and dependent originations on the other hand. Because if you negate the dependent originations when you are actually establishing the ultimate nature of the form, then you are not being able to establish two truths, adequately. So therefore, one's understanding of conventionality must reinforce one's understanding of ultimate nature of reality and vice versa. If one is able to gain some level of understanding to posit two truths within one entity, will really give us an idea of the existence of conventionality and existence of ultimate.
Let the number jiba shiba, Kuane Kyoto Demba Namban Jobala, Kebi Shir, Jetembi Sho Ni, La Nede, Kyoto Sho Ji, Sevi Shir Gobi, Teba, Jen Teba, Jen Doba Shejin, Jetembi Genrota, and Jetembi Chulula Nyamba, Chokwanandoba Sheba, Yenji, Kyoto Ne Maino. She Gunzo be Nyambi Trutama Kwanan Goge Gunzo Mingo was she song she Deni la should be ribi Shepa June Gunzo Bana Jibala Deni Jobala Mekeba Song Be Gunzo be Zu Rekinzo be Zusola the Ripe Goba Ne Hoben Day. Gombate Maino, Donna Omapa Mase, Jean de Demba Niche number Java Shebi, Paiche Tutama, Nanchi Lula, Gansa Genja Kui, Denije number Java, Gendo Jiba, Ye Me Chang, Korangi Nanja, Shebi Demba Niche, turn on be shoji, Ripe Gunzo be turn on, Sunjimba Debane, Jija Yoba Maino. The
Chanakritya's clear words also says, unskilled in ultimate and conventional truths, you sometimes apply analytical standards inappropriately and destroy the conventional, because we are skilled in positing conventional truths. We stay with the world's position, and we use conventional standards to overturn the standards that you set so as to eliminate the category of conventionalities. Like the elders of the world, we drive out only you who deviate from the traditional standards of the world. We do not drive out conventionalities. Thus, he says that he refutes only proponent of tenets that deviate from conventionalities. He does not refute conventionalities. He also says that it is those who are unskilled in positing the true truths who destroy conventionality by using analysis, the rational analysis of reality. Thus, this master did not at all intend to use reason to refute conventional forms and so forth. In brief, while one person may try to find contradictions in another person's presentation of the two truths, I hold that there is no one from any Indian Buddhist tenet system, Madhyamaka or otherwise, who says, in my own presentation of the two truths reasoning, direct the ultimate and eradicates conventional objects.
되게 내지 가르치고 선대로와 배나 엄마 탄저 예네 배나 라시 주번 거가 돼 있잖아 말 라시 주번 거가 돼 라시 주바 켈린비 라시 주번 지면 짐바 딘진 거 버리마도 아니 에 단단가서 파츠 줘야지 아니 다 이나야 엄마 탄저 라시 주번 거 버리 라시 주번 지면 짐바 거 버와 단단 되게 배나 로니 제비 거스 계시비 거라 아니 균조 로반 제비 론지도 거 버리면 균조 대방 거 봐서 개말해스 주타만 빼나 주타만 쓰이는 라니 오마바 인생이 조조로 왔어. 아니 되게 파도 조조를 제비 거라 저랑이 캐네디 디마소셀라 그러마도 뭐 그런 비즈니스 그런 디마소셀은 게라고 말했어. 균조 캐람버데 로바 균조 로바 캐람버는 거 버리면 균조 거바 많이 나서기도 소다. 이제다야 그 demba 임금이 해봐야 메라라기 좋다데 라니 오마바 인생라 그러. 좋다 따올 가이나 조조를 거라 저랑이 아니 캐네디를 제도 오만만에 대해서나 러비거나 뭐 비즈니스 코너를 줘서 게 말은 짐발로바들 줘줘고 줘줘는 로고에스.
So all those tenets, except themselves as followers of the middle way, or the middle way tenets. Thus, they accept their own system as a superior to other system. So here now, when the Madhyamaka Prasangikas is, refuting the inherent existence of things in event, is not refuting something that existed and denigrating that existence, or the reifying that existence, but rather here the Madhyamaka Prasangikas, when it's refuting this inherent existence of things in event, is actually eradicating the wrong views with regard to the conventionality. The Madhyamaka Prasangikas is not actually refuting the conventionality, the conventional object, in other words. It is refuting the wrong thoughts with regard to conventional object, or the wrong views with regard to conventional object. Not actually refuting the conventional object itself, but the wrong views of the conventional object.
다 된저기 계속 제단에 나와서 된저기 야 강사기 집에는 엄마 탄저하기 막 좋다 엄마 손에 따당게 시에서나 야 배도 코너 지 배도 로바즈네 지 배는 신하기 쳐서 이렇게 쳐서 개말고 좋다 엄마기 제바들 해도 가마가마게 더 이제 있어요. 대나기 주대 엄마 주대 고마고마 메시세요. 아니 좋다 엄마기 텐저 라바들 고할해 비거라 아니 좋다 가마기 텐저 처모들 해라 아니 도바들 설해도 얘기 니 간제 간사되게 로칸도 어때야 토르토르도 비체인데 지금은 제가 다 이치는 시행이.
So when it comes to the views of the different philosophical tenets, it is not something that they're actually, undermining each other, but rather all of this philosophical, systems are designed to understand, designed to, take ourselves, reach ourselves to the state of to understand the ultimate nature of reality. Because by going through the learning of lower, philosophical tenets, will become a stepping stone for gaining an understanding or the experiencing of the the high level of philosophical tenets, the high level of philosophical view. Just as it also says that our lower level of the tantric systems are the stepping stones of gaining a realization of the high level of tantric system as well.
제가 따뜻한 그 백해 참고만도 엄마 탄저하기 엄마한테 줬대 채탈라 내버려서나 라이브가라 배드코를 조금 쉬우지 내비 손에 지레면도 그 라냐네 지rem바 간사랑지를 칼로네 이니 담에 여담에 이때는 냐네 지rem바기 또바랑지를 총비가라 배나 동부된데라 된데 배나 진짜지 된데 차실을 된데 또베 따사지 된데세 배나 차실을 된데로 와 소벌레비가라 니 단다지 하도 소리지 타마치 받지 니들 하랑 해요 단 니들 해비가라 단다 타마치나 다 가르쳐줘서는 냥또 코로로 랑지를 제비가라 아니 또베 따사지 된데랑 조나마도 텔레 예를 조사면도 생기기 다로 공편된 조네 지야 세자해 어디 다 뒤는 나고때 단수하이나 세자 통용할 때 세보 세자로 드리지마도 배드 지데 마시바데 센사마이나 마시바데 센사바 거 우주제 대대 드리지는 거지 제 여사마로고 나냥내 제가 제도 비네스 또바라질 제고로.
So here now, when we talk about when the Madhyamaka Prasangika is denying the system of Madhyamaka Swatantika, that doesn't mean the Madhyamaka Swatantika's system is completely useless. This is, however, it's not the case. We shouldn't have this kind of idea when we are rejecting the Madhyamaka Prasangika or Madhyamaka Swatantika system. Because all those lower philosophical tenets are designed for, understanding of, high level of philosophical views. Here now, when you come to, when one is following the Madhyamaka Swatantika's, teachings, you have understanding of the gross level of dependent originations, the dependent originations of cause and effect, and dependently designated, the things that are dependently designations. And now when you gain this understanding, when you gain these realizations critically, purely within oneself, then you still will not gratified by this understanding. You will look for something more, and then this will then lead oneself, take oneself to understanding of things that exist, not just, dependently originated in terms of cause and effect, but also dependently existence, but depending upon other parts and the whole. The whole is dependent upon parts and part dependent upon whole and so forth. And when we go through this, again, you will have more desire to understand how things really are. Then this will take you yourself to understand how things really exist, mere imputed by thoughts and concepts. This is how we clear our obscurations. And so therefore, all those teachings that are given in the Lord philosophical tenet systems are something that is not useful at all. One should not have this kind of idea.
제바도 유무비 내지기 제선단에 그 로도 제는마도 유무비 내지를 계속나 가르버 그 가르깔이 저샤나 진짜 태어나게 말하고 공부에 내지나로 근데 제외디 라마노와 땡이게 라마치다 라마노와 땡이게 라 다중이나 가래네 지레테네 그 다랑게 토상 거서 제거에 개첨을 소에데 대인사로 와서 봤다다. 그 라마노와 땡에질을 해서나 다지 겔라바나기래 그 무슨 요거지도 사자 야버지를 신까지 따셔야나고 림베신도 비다바 제용한테 그 춘이래마도 그 현다 양 사바진 배세 제거 팀도.
So it is therefore following the qualified teacher is very, very important, because if one follows a teacher who is skilled only in one system, then he or she may teaches you this as the ultimate system, or this is the superior system among all, and then one may take a wrong path. So without being able to being able to understand the different philosophical systems and going through a critical analysis based on different philosophical systems, then one will not be able to arrive at the point that you understand how things really are. Without having ascertained how things really are, then if one engages in the meditations, or if one goes to a very isolated place where one adopts the solitary meditations for many years, we will not have any benefit. We'll not be able to develop our spiritual quality or the spiritual realizations. So therefore, it's the great beings have said that without having those basic knowledge, if you meditate go through this solitary meditations, it is as if that you are actually meditating a wind alone. You will not be able to gain any realizations. So therefore, important to follow the authentic teachers who teaches unmistaken path, who shows us unmistaken path, is something that is very, very important for all of us. 랑가 첨부진에 마다네 뭐지 다랑 하되어라 뇌에서 가르쳐서나 냐타지방 저기 베나 남바산지기 단다 맞아 베베나지 세나리 티바치메데 레세나다 타진나로 두고 말이다 가정 좀 미기 냐탄 코로기 로톤지기 차네 랑가 뭐시 왜지 가 되더라 소소기 상상이 주제네. Although there are the stages of the path that one can practice, practice and go through the stages of those stages of the path. And all of these teachings and materials are accessible to us. It is because of, again here, of being too much partiality stops us by going through those teachings or following those teachings. Let's take an example of in Asia. There are many different traditions, the spiritual traditions, but each and every one of them, considering their own spiritual tradition as the superior among all, and being so partial about that, by not really trying to understand the general, having a general understanding of how other spiritual traditions or the Buddhist spiritual traditions are taught. So it is because of this partiality, it's really, confined all of us in our own system, not letting us to be free from that boundary and stepping onto the other system to really to understand how the teachings are really given. And it really prevents us from following the path, vastly and profoundly.
드르게 가서 단다 내가를 가서 이제 상직이 때문에 단다게 내가를 간대지 내도를 써서나 가서 다 한번 쳐다고 메시마도 그런 종 치모로 로장아 내실라 상직이 그런 손코로는 반전의 신주 정해되다 그제 단다 배바지고 인사래 단다도 가서 된 것이 받는데요 그래서 테메드서 로디 토만의 것이야 쉬우고라 그래서另外一 쉬어나데 쉬어나데 가셀로wen 텔라 냐년의 제제 아니 뒤가나 야와지나 다 간주기 다 간주대야 정치모는 내가 나게 연남이시 드네지제 아니 소타기 서래 다 모셔거든 너희 근시 드지 시작되지 제가 드지 근시 대야 드지게 토노로 이따 행에 뉴뉴이 살아 근데 드지게 토노로나 다 사지지 때문에 단대 쳐대 내가 드지와 그래도
So here now, if you look at the teachings of the Buddha, although it seems that I'm being myself as a partial, but here, if in reality, if you look at the studies and the practices done by the Tibetan Buddhist practitioners are very unique because they studies for years and years, 15 to 20 years of vigorous studies. It's not just, part-time study, but the full-time, vigorous studies, putting a lot of effort and energy to study the Buddha Dhamma for 15 to 20 years. And whereas I have come across with many of our, fellow Buddhist practitioners, the bhikshus and so on, when I asked them, they said that in the beginning, when they entered into their monastic institutes, they teach us how to maintain the positive conducts of the body, speech, and mind. This will then be followed by the Vinaya teachings. Even the Vinaya teachings, it seems that they're lacking in-depth understanding of the Vinaya teachings.
딘서버의 진솔의 팬토다 삼박이 초월은 요통토에 신의 가보로 와서 봤다와이나 딱 그런 건반에 그쇼 가슴에 그 가슴 삐다고 해나요 소정이 더 넣어놓나 지 만제고지 차마도 다 진솔 넣는 저와지 차네 생을 초월지 제마도나 지 건반는 신의 건반 여바 산지 예 사지기 때문에 할래야지 용사마로 와서 봤다와이.
So if you look at in this, just by having a monastery and entering into the monastery, by following the teachings of the Vinaya itself, it's not that beneficial, not that much, beneficial for other beings or the other, fellow human beings to be able to transform their mind, because it is confined only in the monastery, because the Vinaya studies and those are done only by the bhikshus and bhikshunis, and it is taught only in the monastery. So therefore, it is confined in one area, and it is unable to have a pervasively, to become a pervasive. We need to have, overall teachings that are given by the Buddha, not just choosing a one particular teaching such as Vinaya.
저는 뉴욕 근처에 개천부터 쉬우지 단단가서 로지도는 가서 그냥 샤리버스는 아니 덤바게 아니 Karsa, ta choson jana the Vietnam Sharipede Nabi la Junior over there, and then also Konga on the Tati sing the red or Tati sing the Pan do Kunshal, Shishan do me, Sudiji taught on the Ram, but the Patronici, Konga de Zombonasi, and Tati sing the Jadadwa. There, because Sharipede Gobdella, Krongi, she said, oh, the but said Tombole, and Tag against it, the Majimara, Takarajagan or some Kochi Kine, and the regular Tati Sanyon of Evangene, any Tati Latuna, any Demagene, and Dembi Cola, and the Gendiva Moboshuiji, Sharibu, Jason Rane, number jewels, so that. Now, Kotas, get him, but the sure.
Of course, it is not to say that, practicing and studying the Vinaya is not beneficial at all. This is not, however, and this is not what I'm saying here. Of course, by following the practice of the Vinaya and subduing one's conduct of the body, speech, and mind by following the teachings of the Vinaya, it also has great benefits. For instance, the great master Shariputra, who is the heart disciple or the direct disciples of the Buddha himself, have become the disciples of the Buddha because of the encounters with one of the Buddha's followers by the name of Tatu. When the Shariputra encountered Tatu, because the Tatu was so, subdued, and it's a very reserved and distinctive because of his practice of the Vinaya, that really encourages, it becomes so, strong impact in the mind of Shariputra. So just by Shariputra himself, then later on become a great disciples of the Buddha, is because of the encounters with the Tatu, who is actually strictly following the teachings of the Vinaya. So therefore, it is not to say that when you are just studying when you are just following the teachings of the Vinaya, it's not beneficial.
Jason Rangena, Talosa Tembaki, Jason Rangen, Terra, Shiron to show a Shishindi, now the Renin Nenjo Dindandi, Dahan Laza, Gemetros chance. The Trichi Kazachi Jetungina, anyone Papison Soba. The Richigo, Tapansi Jago.
So particularly the followers of the Lama Tsongkhapa, where it is stated in one of the prayers of the Lama Tsongkhapa, where it's stated that one must have an external appearance as a Sharbaka and Pratikip Sharbaka, who is fully ordained and subdued both externally and internally. But then internally, one should equipped with this practice of the yoga of 2 stages. And then on that basis, one's understandings of the teachings of the Sutra and Tantra is complementary to each other, not contradictory, but complementary to each other. If one is able to have this kind of quality, one will become a contributory factor of flourishing the teachings of the Lobsang Dakpa. Let's do our dedication by saying that, may I become like that we talked about earlier, of to be able to, complement both teachings of Tantra and Sutra. And may all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas before myself be able to bless me to be able to do this.
乐见修造见对见修见面多中，热烧理解念对见八对，三界行度面对别外，若见能道行。热波修结我更多养道那么道，人民求决别了龙学经，撒当狼藉云对绕作内，老觉将军公。愿道修也当古者，面对那个能道要面对的人都别来做年的，看到阳光光线洒把的，农民马人给农着我农，农人家业我不大牛鸡，两毛人别菜肉更多样，江边养鸡在外接种的。点别人把跟上浪接触，年年周边见能年接触，让渐渐多别浪去，学着自愿张月头给去，作业越久面包新鲜的，家园等包有人在救济，等包人钱交给忙交包。家家娘把就被说的呢，年节前辈也让就把也，遍地带带在我些把说，最近家也没用钱的呢，列着上就浪就人别讲，他的浪就一浪别的心，家园在我人都终究。老藏周边天前主席。夜间世界门当门面，写到更多家业好不易，拿到劳动这我莫纠结，刚才贴吧去了就是节，期间住了怎把地边子，土地那就到处出些钱，抓些将此手给。绕着街，觉得拉面锅在老店，那个真的手指也不能，路上点笔这面撒松的，落雨面菜到年就节，看着让人过于心安适，偏当的我马林就业，现在在我对人家作业。小白身体不，练就筋，小白抱怨接大钱包，更多人不太阳天天的，得到根据接受到了，给我得到当地老多嘛，就从西边叫我当地。我刚那就多忙不的，那些个月早晚都跟讲，从不学习劳动。哎呀，多谢，Thank you。